If they can form success habits, they'll become successful. If they'll form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves them toward their goal, they will be able to get there much faster. If you get home and you're exhausted and you thought, I forgot to read today, you can read a couple of quotes, take a few seconds, and go to sleep thinking about something positive. Being an author was the last thing in my mind. I had never considered it. You first have to decide what your ultimate goal is. That's the trick.
Yeah.
You can't read something positive every day that leads you towards your goal until you set your goal. And then doing this reading every day is going to remind you every single day where you're going and what your goal is and remotivate you to get that.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and grow together. Today, we're joined by Dennis Henson, a best-selling author and motivational speaker with a remarkable journey in real estate and personal development. With over 5 decades of experience, Dennis has dedicated his life to inspiring others to cultivate the habit of reading and unlock their true potential. Let's dive into Dennis' world and discover the wisdom that has guided him along the way. Could you share with us your favorite quote or motto?
The quote that I like best is, form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves you towards your goal. So that's a quote from me, and it's also the reason that I wrote the book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, so that people could easily form that habit.
How did you first come to this, the realization of this quote?
How did I come to write this book?
The realization of the quote of, reading something positive every day.
Oh, how did I come? I had been teaching real estate investing for a number of years, and my students were really successful. So I got invited to speak at expos and other real estate investor meetings, and podcasts were just getting started. But a friend of mine had a real estate podcast, and he invited me on there. And one of the questions he asked was, why are your students so successful? And I said, well, I have them change their habits. If they can form success habits, they'll become successful. And he said, well, what's the number one success habit? And I said, if they'll form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves them toward their goal, they will be able to get there much faster. So that's where the quote came from. And then after that podcast, I decided, wouldn't it be great if there were a tool to help people form the habit? That's when I decided to write the book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, as a tool to help people form that habit.
Okay. When did you write this book exactly?
I started in 2018, and I thought it was only going to take a couple of months because I already had been collecting poems, quotes, short stories, and books for 50 years. And I thought, well, all I have to do is just put them together, and then I'll have a book in a couple of months. But when I got into it, it was a lot more complicated than that. I had to do a lot of research. I had to get a lot of permissions from different people that were in the book, and it ended up taking 6 years. It got published last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The quote itself is, it's really, how do I put it now? It's helpful, but one of the challenges I see is other than the fact that you wrote the book, one of the big problems is, how does someone show up consistently to read something positive every day?
How does someone find something positive to read? I didn't understand.
No, sure. How does someone show up to read? Like, how do they get to repeat this habit every day?
Okay, understand. Here's what makes it easy, because in the front of the book is short stories, which would take anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes to read. Later on in the book are poems, which take 3 to 5 minutes to read. And then the last part of the book, or the next to last part, is quotes, which takes 2 or 3 seconds to read. And then in the very back is a list of books that I've collected over the years that are very motivational, so that you can read for hours if you want to. That makes regardless of your time schedule, you can fit the reading in. If you get home and you're exhausted and you thought, I forgot to read today, you can read a couple of quotes, take a few seconds, and go to sleep thinking about something positive. If you have 30 minutes at the airport, you can read a short story. In between meetings, you can read 5 minutes, read a poem or 2 or 3 quotes. So that's how you're able to fit it in, even if you have a busy day.
Yeah. So the question I want to ask now is, what was the thought process behind selecting and picking the positive things for the book?
When I first started in business, 1975, the company gave me 3 books: Think and Grow Rich, Success, the Glenn Bland Method, and The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And Wisdom, when I read those books, I was a different person. When I finished them, I was so motivated and excited. I was just on another level. So it was kind of like a drug. I thought, I need more books like this to keep me motivated. Well, back in 75, you didn't have Google, you didn't have the internet. If you wanted to find something out, you literally had to pick the phone up or go and talk with somebody. So I would seek out successful people and say, what books are you reading? And so they would give me different books. And over the past 50 years, I only kept a list of the books that really moved me. I read a lot of books, but I didn't write them all down. Only the ones that I listed are the ones that were really motivational. I mean, really, it kind of fed the drug. I wanted to be on that high of being super motivated. I also collected cassette tapes. And as I drove, I listened to the cassette tapes. And if I ever heard a poem or a quote or a short story, I would write those down. So I kept a journal for a number of years. Jim Rohn taught me to do that back in the 70s. And then when computers came out, I just transferred everything in the journal to the computer. So that's where they all came from. They're literally a 50-year collection of poems, short stories, quotes, and books.
Oh, the funny thing is that when you were gathering this stuff, you were just gathering it for yourself. You never had the intention of writing the book eventually.
No, I never thought about it. Being an author was the last thing in my mind. I had never considered it. After I had that podcast, I thought, wouldn't it be great if there were a tool, an app or something to help people form this habit? And then I thought, well, I can put all these things I've been collecting in a book. That's the first time that writing a book like this had ever crossed my mind. I have written a lot of training programs for real estate investors. I've been doing that for many, many years, and I've put some of those together and made books out of them. But that was after that 2018, and I decided to write this book.
Yeah.
So being an author wasn't something that I thought I would do. And that's funny because now every day I write, every single day now.
Yeah, I'd love for us to do something really exciting because your book kind of ties into the idea of this podcast, which is a daily podcast, to get to, collect everyday wisdom from people and, get people to start their day with the podcast, right? And your book starts with something positive. So I'd love for us to do something. I don't know what the copyright stuff will be, but you let me know if you're okay with it. Could you read maybe like your 2 or your top 3 favorite, daily positive quotes or messages from your book, and then expatiate on it and probably give us the backstory behind it and how it has helped you.
Yes, I have a ritual that I do every day. Let me pull it up right here.
Okay.
Here we go. The ritual that I go through, it's affirmations. It's not really quotes, it's affirmations. And the affirmations I read to myself: many great things are headed my way. That's one. Every day I'm blessed with miracles. It's amazing how quickly my manifestations come to pass. God instantly provides me with all the things that I need. I'm killing ants. Any negative thought sequence, that's an ant. I'm 111% world famous author and 111% independently wealthy. My health is vastly improving each day. I'm so happy and grateful that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. That's Bob Proctor. I'm grateful. Well, I'll skip that one. The universe is aligning in my favor. And there's a few others, but they're personal. So I say those things every day, and then I have a session on gratitude where I think of all the things I'm really grateful for. My family, I name them individually, my dog, my daughter and her dog, my office, my staff, my friends, and then I have a long list. And starting the day by being grateful is a great way to start the day.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests, just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
I mean, it's hard to have a bad day if you started out, being sincerely and truly grateful for all the wonderful things, your health and your, being able to breathe. And I'm 77 years old. There's people my age that can't even think. And I'm writing books every day. So I'm very grateful to be in the shape that I'm in.
Yeah. You talked about earlier on, you mentioned that the book is composed of quotes, poems, short stories, affirmations, etc. You've shared with us the affirmation you used to start your day. Could you share with us maybe one of your? I know it might sound strange asking the author what's your favorite quote. Yeah, the favorite quote in the book, or maybe an anecdote or short story in the book, because yeah.
Okay, you want me to give you some quotes? I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like, the book is something that is meant to be read daily, isn't it?
Yes.
So I'd love.
It's written in such a way so that you don't read a lot. It's not meant to be read from cover to cover.
Yeah.
In the front of the book, it has an introduction and it says how to use this book. And you're supposed to read a little bit until something moves you, and then contemplate it, think about it, and let it motivate you throughout the day. So that if you do it that way, you'll never run out of something to read. You can read this book forever. It's kind of like, reading a religious book like the Bible. If you read the Bible from the cover to cover, you probably wouldn't get much. It has too much in it. So that's how this book was written. You just read some of it, and then when something really hits you, you think about that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That could you just give us something from it?
Something in the book.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get over here. One of the poems I like is by Rudyard Kipling. It says, I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when and how and where and who. I send them over land and sea. I send them east and west. But after they have worked for me, I give them all the rest. Another one is, I love this one, the touch of the master's hand. It's kind of long. You sure you want me to do it?
We have about 10 minutes, so.
Okay. The touch of the master's hand by Myra Brooks Welch was battered and scarred, and the auctioneer thought it scarcely worth his while to waste much time on the old violin, but he held it up with a smile. What am I bidding, good folk? He cried. Who'll start the bidding for me? $1? $1? Then 2? Only 2? $2. Who'll make it 3? $3 once, $3 twice, and going for 3. But no, from the back of the room came a gray-haired man, and he picked it up with a bow. Then wiping the dust from the old violin, he tightened the loosened strings. He played a melody pure and sweet as a caroling angel sings. The music ceased, and the auctioneer, with a voice that was quiet and low, said, now what am I bid for the old violin? And he held it up with a bow. $1,000. Who'll make it 2? 2,000. Who'll make it 3? 3,000 once, 3,000 twice, and gone, said he. The people cheered, but some of them cried, we do not understand. What changed this worth? Swift came the reply, the touch of the master's hand. And many a man with his life out of tune and battered and scarred with sin is auctioned off cheap to the thoughtless crowd, much as the old violin. A mess of pottage, a glass of wine, a game, and he travels on. He's going once, he's going twice, he's going and almost gone. But the master comes, and the foolish crowd can never quite understand the worth of a soul, the change that is wrought by the touch of the master's hand.
Wow.
You like that one?
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful. All of them are good. You want to hear another one?
Yeah.
Okay. This one is by Edgar Guest, and I have several poems by Edgar Guest. It's called It Couldn't Be Done. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he, with a chuckle, replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face if he worried he hit it, and he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done. And he did it. Somebody scoffed, oh, you'll never do that. At least no one's ever done it. But he took off his coat and took off his hat, and the first thing he knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, and without any doubting or quivet, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it.
Oh, this is, oh, this is, no, this is next level. Oh,
Well, there's a bunch. I mean, that's just two of them. There's quite a few.
Yeah,
Read one
yeah.
of those every day. It'll wake you up. And wisdom, I'd like to give everyone that's listening in a free ebook copy, if that's okay.
wow, that would be lovely and fantastic. Wow.
Just go to realimpactbook.com. Realimpactbook.com. Scroll down to the bottom where it says podcast attendee. That's the very bottom of the first page. And you just click on that and put your name and email address, and you'll have the book in seconds.
Wow.
I mean, it's not tomorrow, it's not an hour, it's in seconds. As soon as you hit send, you get the book. And there are no strings attached. I mean, you're not going to be put on a mailing list or anything. But if you would do this, when you get the book, read the introduction. It's like a page. And then read how to use this book. Then think of 3 to 5 people in your life that a book like this will change their life. And remember them the next time you have an occasion that you can give a gift, and give them the book, because this is a life-changing book. I mean, it really is. If people form this habit, but you see, wisdom, here's a piece of wisdom. You first have to decide what your ultimate goal is. That's the trick.
Yeah.
You can't read something positive every day that leads you towards your goal until you set your goal. And then doing this reading every day is going to remind you every single day where you're going and what your goal is, and remotivate you to get that. And it can be anything. It can be to have a lot of money. It can be to have a certain job. It can be to become a doctor or an attorney, or it really doesn't matter, because if you have the desire, nature gave you the desire, and everything you need will be there for you when you need it. You just need to move in that direction.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of starting one's day with something positive to get themselves in the right frame of mind. And one more time, could you tell us what the title of the book is again?
It's Real Impact Daily Inspiration. Real, R-E-A-L, Impact, I-M-P-A-C-T. Daily Inspiration. And you can get it at realimpactbook.com or on Amazon.
Yeah.
You can just Google. I mean, it's easy to find. You can just Google it and it'll come up.
Yeah. For me, as someone who is particularly fond of poetry, I like the choice of poets that you read. Like when I heard Rudyard Kipling, he's the one who wrote If, right? I don't know if you know the poem.
That's in the book.
That's one of my favorite poems.
It's in the book. In fact, all of the poems in the book are really powerful, just like If, but they're all really powerful, and they have stories behind them. Sometimes I tell the stories, and that was just the poems. The quotes are positive too, but the short stories are really powerful. They'll make you cry. They're cathartic. I mean, they'll reach into your soul and pluck your heartstrings. But I didn't put them in the book unless they were really, really good. And so you'll be impressed. All you have to do is just read a little of it. If I get people to read a little bit of it, they get hooked, because it's so motivational, so powerful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for writing. For me, I want to say it's more like a life's work, but it's just that it wasn't intentional. It was more like, something that helped you, and then you realize that, wow, this stuff helped me. I could put it in a form so that other people could also benefit from it.
That's right. One of the best things you can do for yourself is to help other people. So if you read this book and you think, this is great, and you can think of 3 or 4 other people, then you will have multiplied your value, which is important.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for writing the book, and thank you so much for reading some excerpts of the book. If once again, I know you said earlier, once again, if I want to grab the free ebook and I also want to learn more about you and what you up to, where can listeners go to?
Go to realimpactbook.com. I'm also on YouTube and I'm really easy to find on the internet, but if you go to realimpactbook.com, there's a link there that says contact us, and it has my email address and my phone number. If you want to talk to me or send me an email, I'll be happy to get that. Or if you have a question, or if you want to know something about the book, you get the free book, you're reading it, and you think, wow, I need to ask about this. Well, let me know and I'll answer your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I sincerely appreciate this. Yeah, please grab the opportunity of getting the free ebook, and thank you so much for that generosity. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, once again, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Wisdom.
Yeah.
I hope you'll have me again one day.
Yeah, thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful from this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Contour, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, staying curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.